us. Speaks beautifully and is also a treasure house of knowledge on the subject, but he does have the expertise and speak elaborately at length on the topic and will impress us. I aspire to hear more from, a lot more from Professor Dr. Sachendra Rahul, yes, from after now. The other great professor, renowned professor, Dr. Basant Kumar Das, whom I have heard several times in webinars organized by our college, would speak on Vivekananda's concept of man, a beautiful topic. The only saint who is Swamiji called Swamiji, the only saint in India. Whenever we call Swami, we ordinarily mean Swami Vivekananda. On him, he would speak at length. Vivekananda's concept of man, how Vivekananda recognized man as man. Any person who has two hands, two legs, one mouth, two eyes, one nose, two ears, one head, cannot be said to be man. What in Vivekananda's philosophy, in his interpretation, a two-legged, a biped being is called man. That is to be discussed by Professor Dr. Basant Kumar Das. We are so delightful to hear from him. I wouldn't speak more because that will be all a nonsense to speak more by me because I am an ordinary person. I don't know everything of philosophy. I aspire to hear from great experts who have joined Tarayo, again Tarayo, who have joined the seminar. We've been on the way. These words and the webinar is announced to be open and inaugurated. Thank you, sir. Namaste.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable inaugural speech. Now the time for Dr. Arjun Rao. I request you to introduce the speaker in brief. Dr. Rao. Thank you, Professor Nayak. Now I am going to introduce Professor Lingaraj Mishra, our able who is Professor and Head, PG Department of Philosophy, Utkal University. He received Utkal University Gold Medal for standing with first class art in 1954. He obtained his PhD from University of Illinois in 1977. His specializations are question analytic philosophy, philosophy of mind, philosophy of value, especially moral philosophy and practical ethics. He was selected as a Commonwealth Scholar in England from 1974 to 1977 and Fulbright visiting professor in the United States. Visiting professor in Western Michigan University, USA, Brook University, Canada, and Ohio State University. He has been awarded ICTR Senior Fellow, ICTR Senior Fellow, and UGC Emeritus Fellow He has contributed more than 100 articles in national and international journals. He was the general editor, Utkal Study in Philosophy series of publications, and the editor of Indian Journal of Analytic Philosophy. He has written 8 books and edited 5 books. Thank you, sir. Now, I am going to introduce our most distinguished speaker, Dr.
ସେଇ ଯୋଉ
Sachin Rao.
ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ଗାମୁଛାଟା ଟିକେ
He
ଭଲରେ
served in different government colleges of Odisha from 30th January 1982 to
ଟିକେ ଚା କରିବା
30th April 2014. Dr. Rao has received his MA from Utkal University in 1980 and MPhil from University of Pune in 1992. His MPhil dissertation was some reflections on Kant's philosophy of mathematics under the guidance of Professor R. Sundar Rajan. He obtained his PhD from Jadavpur University under the supervision of Professor Hiranmaya Banerjee. He has written more than 25 articles in different national and international journals. He was Dean of Students' Welfare, Ravenshaw University, and Registrar of Utkal University of Culture, Bhubaneswar. He served major part of his service in Ravenshaw College and he retired from RD Women's College, Bhubaneswar. After retirement, he served as guest faculty in Utkal University, Ravenshaw University, and UN Autonomous College of Science and Technology, Kharagpur. Now, I'm going to introduce Dr. Basant Kumar Das. He served in different government colleges of Odisha from 4th November 1981 to 28 February 2018. He retired from Ramadevi Women's University as head of the department and associate professor of philosophy. He has written 3 books. One is Philosophy of Upanishad and the Gita. Second is Essay in Philosophy, and third is a Manual of Indian Ethics. And also edited 2 books. One is In Search of Universal Religion, and the second is The Philosophy of the Gita. He has contributed to co-authored books, Higher Secondary Logic Part 1 and Part 2, published by Odisha State Textbook Bureau. Dr. Das is for his credited publication of 35 articles. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Rao, for your nice introduction of our speakers. Now I request teacher of teachers and the chief speaker of the occasion, that is ICPR sponsored periodic lecture, Man, Mind and Metaphysics. May I now request Professor Prafulla Kumar Mahapatra to deliver his talk on the theme. Professor Mahapatra.
Good evening, Principal Mishra and colleagues of the UN Autonomous College. I thank Mr. Nayak and Mr. Raut for the good words told about me. I will simply say that while I am grateful for these kind words, I feel that I have become, and including me, the other 2 speakers, they have also become so very familiar with this college and to the students and colleagues of that college. We don't such a long introduction. Anyway, thank you very much. Now I'm going to tell you about a very familiar tradition in philosophy mind, with which everybody is very familiar. That is what we know as the Cartesian dualism. So because of this tradition, man and his relation to mind has become very familiar, so very familiar that sometimes we wonder if such picture will really help in understanding the nature of man and its social duties. According to this tradition, hello? Hello?
Okay, sir. You are audible, sir. No problem.
And there's some problem here. Okay. So this tradition has been very familiar, but at the same time, I am afraid this dualistic picture of man has become a deterrent in understanding the proper nature of man. And in this picture, man is thought of as made up of two distinct substances, or rather, should I say, two distinct entities, a body and a mind. And these two substances are supposed to be contingently related. Contingently related, so that you should take it as a purely contingent relation between these two substances. You may be in the danger of treating one to the exclusion of the other. But as a result of that, not only a distorted picture of man and his relation to the mind and body has emerged, but also it has led to two conflicting cultural patterns like materialism and spiritualism. Let me explain this to you. Now, if you say that man is made up of two distinct substances which are contingently related to each other, then you may have a tendency to emphasize on the nature of mind and ignore the body. Or you may also have a tendency, an opposite tendency, of emphasizing the material aspect of the person and ignore the spiritual aspect. Now, when I'm talking of man and mind, I treat man and person as two interchangeable, and I also generally treat mind, soul, and spirit as meaning almost the same. Now, if you take this picture, what we have, this is has been due to a gross misunderstanding of the language we use to talk about man and his relation to mind.
जोटा जहाँ नौजन कार्ड करी कार्ड टा पे करिए पड़ो कार्ड रे माने रही बजे कोन कोन लेला
Hello, I hear
सेटा गोटे ममता कार्ड हबो
कोणी होची
तो सेटा कहू कि बड़ देखा जा क्रिकेट ऊपर
do you still hear me? Vijay? Hello? Mate,
Sir, you are audible. Sir, you are audible. Very much audible. गोटे से सर
से रेडियो वाला सुन रहा है कि अन्य के सब दे आर ऑल द टाइम disturbing. So please ask them to mute themselves.
They should mute themselves when somebody is speaking.
They are talking about.
So let me explain why this language has misled us into this kind of dualistic picture of man. We say two sorts of things about people, persons or man. Either we say that a person is or a man is tall or short, thin or bulky. This is the physical features. In terms of physical features, we talk about people. Or we may also talk about or speak about men and persons or persons by saying that he is intelligent or stupid, thoughtful or unthinking, idiotic or very intelligent, kind or cruel, and so many things. So these are the two different ways we talk about men. First way of talking is about his physical features, and the second way relates to his mental features or conscious activities. Now the physical features are such that we know that they are caused by, or they are because of the fact that the men or people have bodies, so that the body becomes the causal basis of the physical features. So analogously, we try to think that there must be something which is a similar causal basis of the mental features. But we cannot say that. Why? Because there are some purely mental features, which cannot be related to the body at all, or which these are features which can be applied to persons, even if apart to ourselves, even if we are not conscious of the body yet, particularly when it relates to oneself. I'll come to that. But since we know that the physical features, the body is the physical, causal basis of the physical features, we try to find out another entity, not physical, but something like the physical, which should be the causal basis of the mental features. So then we invent the mind or the soul, which we believe or we tend to believe that it is the causal feature of all the mental features. So, but that is not a correct way of saying it, because even in the mental features, there are two types of mental features. One is purely mental features, which does not require any body or physical body to be understood or to be applied. These are the features like imagining, thinking about a philosophical problem, trying to solve a mathematical equation, or trying to solve or escape through the horns of a logical dilemma. These are all purely mental. But then there are also certain features we will call mental, which require also some bodily explanation or basis. For example, I am speaking to you now. When I am speaking to you, I am using my vocal cord. Ordinarily, I speak to you in front of you. I make gestures, I make expressions. So these are what I call body-specific mental features. If you follow the philosophy of Strawson made a distinction between M predicates and P predicates. These are two types of predicates which are applied to persons or men. M predicates are those which ascribe physical features to persons, but P predicates are those which ascribe features to persons that imply states of consciousness. So these P predicates, I divide it into two types. One is purely mental predicates, and the other is body specific, what I call body specific P predicates, or body specific conscious activities, which cannot be explained, which when applied will inevitably require physical limbs, physical expression, physical behavior, and things. So that is the way we talk about persons. And if you try to completely understand the person in completely opposite terms, in the twofold way of speaking about persons, that would be misleading, and that has misled generations of philosophers and thinkers in one way.
नहीं
Have a distorted picture of. So,
ଖାଇଲନି
so
ଆଉ
much
ଗୋଟେ କଣ
so
ଖାଉଥିଲୁ
that when we say
ଖାଇଲନି
that mental features are purely mental,
ଚୁଡ଼ା ଟିକେ ଖାଇଲନି
you know, when particularly we talk of ourselves, we make a distinction between the self-ascription of predicates or conscious predicates and other ascriptions. Self-ascription, when we ascribe mental predicates to ourselves, when I ascribe mental predicates to me, I'm in pain or I'm not happy, I feel agonized. I don't have to depend on any criterion at all. I simply know that I'm in pain. So self-ascription of mental predicates are a non-criteria. So there is no problem about that. Nobody seriously asks, am I in pain? Nobody seriously asks, am I a person? Am I a thinking thing? So there is no problem about that. The real problem is about other persons. When I ascribe those things, someone else is in pain, somebody else is very intelligent. Now there, I have to depend on his verbal and non-verbal behavior. This has to be dependent on criteria. So real problem is there. Am I a person is not a question at all. Is this moving and acting figure who looks like a man, acts like a man, speaks like a man, is a man? You can ask this question. And this question can be, in principle, this question can be replied both in the affirmative as well as in the negative. But in the first question, am I a person or am I in pain? When asked to ask this question, the only type of answer that is forthcoming, that would be forthcoming in this case, is a affirmative answer. So problem is not there. The problem is about other aspects. That is why Strawson said that we ascribe certain things, two types of predicates to persons, the M predicates, or predicates implying physical features, etc. But there is another sort of predicate which he called P predicates, implying states of consciousness, which we cannot dream of applying to others. Dream of applying to others. Now that is where you have to depend on some basis, some sort. So self-ascription of conscious or mental predicates, criteria, ascription of other predicates, mental predicates to other
ଥିଲା
and there the criterion has to go. Therefore, in order to not know that somebody is a person, not myself, somebody else, that is the real person. In order to know that, you have to depend on his body. Now, ascription of mental predicates also, therefore, will be dependent on the facts and Therefore, mental predicates always have to be understood in terms of the body and the physical. What he does, how he works, how he speaks, his overt physical behavior, verbal and non-verbal. So that is how it has to depend on this concept of self-knowledge. There are two types of, usually with the talk of self-knowledge, in a very honorific sense, in which the self is said to be a person. No, actually self-knowledge is something which is concerned with the knowledge of about oneself, and self-knowledge also is understood in the second sense to mean that it is about the knowledge of a person but other person. So that is the difference. You have to. So when and that problem is there, as I told you, problem is there. Here. Therefore, to know that somebody is a person, you have to know that somebody has a physical body. Otherwise, you cannot know this because his overt physical behavior, verbal and non-verbal behavior are the important things. And in this sense, that is the case. Then, to know that a person, the tradition, dualistic tradition, under which we know a person to be both body and mind, not only that, there is a tendency to identify the person with the mind, the one mind. The person is not only made up of a body and a mind, they also have claimed, particularly in our Oriental tradition, they also have claimed that the mind or the soul is the person. And this kind of knowledge will make it compelling enough to think in terms of the person being immortal, which we tend to think of disembodied persons. Now, disembodied person, therefore, the way I have tried to analyze the concept of person as both the subject of physical features as well as the subject of mental. That is the way. Then the idea, that is the understanding, then the idea of a disembodied person will not be feasible. Yes, it can be feasible only in a secondary sense. So that I will not elaborate it here because I don't have much time. But this is the disembodied ideas of disembodied person or immortality of the soul. After the physical death, the person goes on living. And what goes on living? The mind. That's why our describe the soul, by which is supposed to be the essence of the person, and no physical force can touch it and destroy it, and no fire can burn it, water cannot drench it, and so on. So this is the picture which we inevitably will learn if we take the mind and body as the two entirely distinct entities and somehow continue in the life of a person. Now, if that is the case, then how are you going to understand the concept of a man? Once you say that the mind or the soul is the essential feature of a person, then you will have to, you will be a spiritualist. So the spiritualism in one culture and the constitutional culture give you body or physical side of the person. Now in this case, that will show as if there is no connection between the material and the physical. You can go in any way you like. Now that is how that is why I said no. Even our in our yoga philosophy, we made a distinction they were atheist. Between the body and the mind as two distinct entities, but
ସିଏ କହିଲେ ସେମାନେ ଛୋଟ ଛୋଟ ପିଲା ସିଏ କହିଲେ ସିଏ ଆମେ କଣ ତାଙ୍କ ଲେବୁଲ आज एते युक्ति कोन कस्टमर से माने सी यदि 200 कहिला हमें कहूचे
consisting of
ना नहीं
or
सुन
being constituted by mind.
हां से अछंती जे तमे कोन छाडी ना रखिलो सी रहिले ना गल्ले गल्ले हमें 100 टंडे पाई थांते ना नहीं 200 जदी कहूचे 100 दियो हां 10 टा जाथन बैठा जिबे
Picture of
10 टा लिखिथिल दंग आउ 2 घंटा रही थांते
dualism will
आउ
take
दिने आसिले बेला को हमें
can
हाथ
make
रे
a
रहिया कथा कन्स्टेबल
ବାପାରେ ଛୋଟ ତାହେଲେ କାଇଁ ବୋଲେଲି
नहीं हमें बुद्धि से हम स्कूल कर जे बुद्धि से
nature of persons.
हमर लोक बारंबार आशा दरकार
ପଳେଇବେ ବୋଲେଲେ ପहिले
ये होची आउ गोटे
କାମ
कला
ନାହିଁ ବୋଲେ ପଡିଥିବେ
Now, the peculiar notion of mind and the consequent non-physical feature of
ମା
man,
କଣ କହିକି ଟିଫିନ
the
ନେବି
product of bad logic, and for understanding of the language we use to talk about men. Now, before I expose this, I must try briefly to pinpoint the distortion brought to the image of man by the concept of mind in question.
हां
Mind being non-physical, pure.
कोन
Despite a few good effects of the spiritualistic view of man, it cannot be
ये
denied
गल्ला से
that in
समुद्र रे
certain
हजी गल्ला
aspects of our
से
social
हजी गल्ला ना
and
नहीं
moral living,
तण
the
आमे
metaphysical model
आमे
of
केमिति डील करबा
this
सेटा शिक्षा
picture
दरकार
is
आमे केमिति
likely
डील
to
करबा
cramp the
आमे
intellect
जदी गोटे गोटे
and
लोक सहित
create
एमति करबा तले
serious
लाभ अछि
misgivings
लाभ किछ ना
about the
सेमति
nature
हेई
of
हेई कि
man
लोक आसीबे
and
ना
his
कहियाटा भूली
mind
कोन
and his relation to
ना
God.
तो ता माने
Because once you say
सेतरे
this,
जे सेतरे
the
सिखिला कोन
mind becomes
सेकर तो सी कहिबे हजार
the
लोक आसीबे
central
हजार
point,
कथा
and
कहिबे
in this is
ना
laid all
कहबेनी
the emphasis
आमे जेहेतु
that
दुकान टे
you
करछे आमे
try to give on the nature of man. Now, it so happens that a father offers his son, you know that story of Sunas Shepherd. There was
एया बुझिलु
they want
अरे से मजाटा सुनि सारला पारे
a human
मते
sacrifice.
सजाटा भी कहूची जे से
Now,
100 टंका टे मिली थांता
the
आउ 2
parents
घंटा
have
से रही थांते
three
गोटे दिन 24 घंटा रही सारलेनी
sons.
आउ
Father
घंटा टे रही
did
थांते
not want to dispense with
एते एते
elder one
होएनी
and the
कस्टमर को सदा
youngest
कम
one
कथा
was
हबो
the favorite of father,
पदे
and
पदे कथा
Orira,
से
the
पिला कहूची
Mojia.
कहू मु ता
And
लेबुल
they
रो
have
नुह
to be given and
अरे बाबा
they
200 टका जदी न होची 100 टका दबो
only
ना देबिनी 70
had
टका
agreed
देबी
to
तो जा
give it away
ये
for
ला कथा
sacrifice in the Jogya. But they
ना 24
they
घंटा रहिला आउ 2 घंटा रे रहि
they
गेले 100 टका मिले और सीजन
drew
समय लोक
consolation
तापर
from
को
the
तमर
fact
बैग
that they are
थोइचंदी
sorry
सेटा गोटे अलग समय अलग कथा
to live in heaven
खाली
in the abode of God.
दे देले दे
Now,
देबे
look at this cruelty. Look at this cruel approach. That can be cruelty that can issue out of a purely physical or purely non-physical concept of mind. A father offers his son to be sacrificed in a yajna and is consoled by the belief that his son is going to live in the abode of God. But that is not happened. And then even our Lord Krishna also advises when Arjuna was he was moved by emotions and he said, I cannot go to the war because I have to kill people. And as a human being, I have my general or sadharana dharma of a non-killing ahimsa, and then pura dharma of protecting the members of my. Then Lord Krishna telling me, you don't worry about that. We were not killing them. They are already killed. Their body is destroyed, but they will go on continuing to live eternally. Now that is something which is not. I mean, it doesn't sound very acceptable because that will lead to treating man or ignoring his physical features of man. Our Upanishads, or our Vedas also, they have emphasized the life here and now. Jibema Sarada Satam, Paschima Sarada Satam. So that was the wish, and they never wanted to emphasize that yes, in order to get liberation, you must go and live in the forest and give up the body. Even by giving up the body, torture the body, even by giving up the body, you can get liberation. That is something which even in our some of the major Vedas, they do not say this. So this one-sided view of the persons will eventually emerge if you take this relation of mind and body constituting the person. If you take them to be purely contingently, they are not. There is the synthesis. What is mind for that? The mind is not something even you cannot. There was this materialistic theory of mind where they have tried to identify the mind with the brain, mental states and brain states. That also failed because what consciousness pervades, you can say consciousness or mind pervades the body. So your activities, your mental activities, your conscious activities are displayed throughout the body. So without the bodily basis, how can you explain this? You can imagine these conscious states to be applied without having to think about your body. That becomes the self-ascription of predicates. I have said there is no problem about that. You have to, that is why Strawson defined the concept of a person as a primitive concept to which both M predicates implying physical features and P predicates implying states of consciousness are equally, I emphasize this, are equally ascribable. Now that is where lies the real understanding of the problem. So if you cannot treat others as persons, then you have no right to treat yourself as a person. So self-ascription and other ascription, they must be understood together. By simply ascribing, this was the illusion. In our own case, we have been able to think of having mental features of concept, even if we do not, we are not conscious about our body. So that has been taken as a model, but that is not the model. As I said, in order that you can ascribe P predicates to yourself, you must be prepared and willing to ascribe to others who are not yourself. Then only you can think of a person and personal qualities. So this is the type of understanding that a person must that must be accorded to the person. You see, ascription of pre-predicates. Let me tell you very clearly. Ascription of pre-predicates have to be based on criteria, but it is not the inner criterion of Cartesians that is applicable, if at all, to one's own case of self-ascription of pre-predicates. A more accurate way of saying would be that the supposed inner criterion is either unnecessary when it is applied to oneself or inapplicable if it is applied to case of others, because of the obvious unobservability of the soul, you cannot apply it to others. Because that inner criterion will not be of any help in understanding the concept of a person. Therefore, this is what this is how our common or general way of speaking about people, the language that we use to speak about people, has misled us because it is not based on any good logic. It has only the illusion of deceiving. And let me tell you that this applicability of this concept, I call it therefore a person is a subject of consciousness, but it is a bodied subject of consciousness. Don't simply picture the person as a purely as a subject of consciousness. It must be a bodied subject of consciousness. A pure subject of consciousness is one you can understand about yourself, but there is no problem, as I have told you. Here, you have to think of yourself as well as others as conscious beings. That is how the person's mind has to be understood. Therefore, I call it the body. I would prefer to call the person as a bodied subject of consciousness. And the social indispensability of this concept of a person or man is not the result of any revision or redefinition of our normal concept. It is rather due to our normal understanding of the concept as this concept is bodied subject of consciousness. Philosophy leaves everything as it is. So we come back to Wittgenstein. So the philosophy leaves everything as it is. And if one tries consciously or unconsciously to outstep the barriers of usage and says something that is neither contained in or not followed from it, then the result is a revisionary metaphysical picture. As I have made it abundantly clear, the concept of person as a bodied subject of consciousness is what we know persons as, and that is the proper understanding of the person. Like any other concept, this concept too allows certain exceptions, extensions, or extended applications of it within the limits of intelligibility. The idea of disembodied person or of survival after physical death of a supposedly pure disembodied ego is such an idea, but an extended idea, dependent on and only because there is the primary egotic concept first. Now, and therefore, you see, Wittgenstein has a very interesting example. My doll is in pain, this philosophical investigation. My doll is in pain when said by a playful little girl. It has meaning only because pain has its meaning in its usual human context. And that is the primary sense. And if the latter were not the case, the former, that is the idea of the disembodied person, would make no sense. Thus, the theory that purports to stress the purely non-physical nature of persons is guilty of taking the secondary use of this concept much too seriously and of trying to give that use the status of primacy. The theorists delude themselves into thinking that we are talking about the same thing here as we talk in the normal case, presumably on the superficial ground that in the former case, our familiar word person is used in its familiar configuration. It is because of this that what they say in such cases, that is in the case of disembodied person, things, survival, reincarnation, etc., what they say would not be straightforwardly nonsense, but in being committed to an entirely non-physical concept of a person, and as such, abandoning the primary sense of this concept. So you see, that is how you have to be very careful about talking about person. For example, when you say in your Cartesian studies, and I'll take only a couple of minutes, in the Cartesian tradition that you say that the person is composed of two substances. They are continually connected with each other, body and mind the mind is the person. Now that is something which is a wrong logic, based on wrong logic. Because you see, yes, it is essential that the persons have mind, but from this doesn't follow that the persons are minds. The table is a material. From this, it doesn't follow that the table is only a material. Because the fact is that, yes, persons have minds, having mind is essential to being a person, but that is not the only thing that is essential. That doesn't follow. Maybe having a body is also there, another thing. Therefore, you have to take it with the possible full synthetic view of the person as opposed to the body and mind, which are equally, as Professor said, physical features and mental features, aim predicates and P predicates must be equally ascribable to person. So that, when taken together, will help us to come out of the illusion of language and to avoid the clashing cultural pictures of spiritualism and materialism. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for your valuable speech, and it is a mind-blowing speech that you have explained that a person should be viewed in a synthetic way, and he should not be thought in a one-sided way, and neither from the material side or from spiritual side or side of idea. Rather, he should be thought of in both the ways, so that will be justice for thinking of man. Thank you, sir, for your nice presentation. May I now request participants, if you have any query to Professor Mahapatra's deliberation on the concept of person, then you may ask Professor Mahapatra. Yes, participants, you are welcome. If you Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yes, any participant? Hello. Okay.
Okay, we have no time, it seems.
Well, yes.
For people to raise
From
questions.
Jyotirmay,
So
sir.
you can.
Sir, one question in the chat box from
Yes.
Jyotirmay Rautray. What is the status of mind? What is the status of mind?
What is the status of mind? How do I explain this? The mind is the one thing I have been trying to say. The mind is not something, some substance. As art it doesn't picture. The status of mind is in the life of man is very important. With all the conscious activities, all the human activities, they are explained in terms of mind. But the mind is not something which is an entity. And mind has to be understood in terms of consciousness, conscious behavior, conscious activities. Okay.
It's a very important answer from Professor Mahapatra. And may I will now request Subrat, if you have any query, because he is the teacher of teachers. If you have any query, Subrat Kumar Parida.
No, sir. I have no doubt, any doubt.
Okay. Thank you.
You don't vote past what it says.
Thank you. Now, I request Professor Sachindra Rao